Welcome to today's tutorial. Today we are going to look at adding shapes to a board. Now shapes are fantastic for doing things like defining industry boundaries and also for grouping similar companies together, for example subsidiaries of another company. To do this today we're going to have a look at firstly how to put the square and circle shape onto the board. Following this we are going to look at how to adjust the size, the text and the colour of each shape. Then we're going to have a look at how to lock a shape in its place. And then finally, a very interesting function that we have is adding an image to a shape. So stay tuned and let's get started. I have prepared some stakeholders on a map already. Here we have the subsidiaries for Qantas Airlines. Qantas is an Australian company and they have a number of companies that belong to them. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to use a shape to show that these subsidiaries all belong together into one company. So to do that I'm going to use either the square or the circle, and I'll show you how to use both shapes. So you'll find the shapes on the left hand side of the screen in the functions section, and here we see we have the square and the circle options. So we'll start by selecting the circle. To add the circle we simply click on the circle, go over to the screen, and we can click anywhere on the screen we like, and then we hold our mouse down and we drag the shape. We can make that as big or as small as we like, and then we can adjust the location of the shape by clicking back on the shape and adjusting and holding down and moving the shape to where we like. If we find now the shape is too big, we can click off the shape and then back on, and we have these options to make it smaller come up again. So we can shrink that down, make that sit inside like this. We can get it like that. If we think, okay, the circle is not quite right for us, we can delete that by clicking on the three dots on the bottom here and hit delete. And we can do the same with the square. So to add a square, we do the same process. Click on the square on the left hand side, go back anywhere on the screen that we like, click our mouse and hold it, drag, and then once we're happy with the size of the shape, we release. The same process exists again. We can simply pick up the shape and move its location until we're happy, and then we are also able to click off the shape and back on to have these dots show back up so we can move the location of the shape. So here we'd like to make it a little bit more square rather than rectangular, so we can click on the right hand side and we can drag that over, and we can see now we have all of the subsidiaries inside the shape nicely. We can then do a few things with the shape. We can change the name of the shape here, so we can click on that and we can write Qantas, and we can also adjust the location of that by clicking on the T here, and that allows us to change the location. It also allows us to change the color of that lettering. In this case we might want to make it just black, so we can click here. And we can click on the right hand side, we can drag the colour to black. And we can also change the size of that writing, so we might make it 50, and then we have it nice and big and clear. If we're not happy with the colour of the shape, we can also adjust that by clicking on these lines here. And we can change the colour of our shape to whichever colour we feel is appropriate. Again, we can click on the hex code here and we can adjust it to being whichever colour we like. So as a Qantas Airlines, which is an Australian company, we'll use the dark green. And we can also adjust the border colour as well. To do that we click on the border here, and we can change the colour to yellow, so we're using green and gold. And we can also change the size of the border here, so we can make a nice and thick border, like so. Okay. So here's a map I'm working on, also to do with the aviation industry. And as you can see, I've got lots of shapes in this map. But what can happen when you're working on a map like this, you can accidentally move the shapes around the place. So what we want to be able to do is lock the shape in place so that they can stay where we want them to be. To do this, I simply click those three dots on the bottom right hand corner and hit lock. And now you can see the shape does not move anymore. In fact, the whole board moves with it. So I can also do this for the larger shape here. Lock this in place by clicking three dots and then lock. and you can see the shape will not go anywhere anymore. So we're not just limited on having the background as a certain color, we're actually also able to change that background image, which is very exciting. So to do that, what we can do, we can click back on the shape, and you see at the bottom we have the opportunity under the background section to add an image or video. This basically just needs a URL from an image. So what I recommend to do in this situation is to go to a website that has royalty-free pictures. For example, Unsplash. Unsplash is a royalty-free picture site that has thousands of images that you're able to use without having to worry about paying royalties on that or the copyright on those images. So we go there, and then we can type in Qantas into our search section at the top, and let's see what shows up. So we have a few images that we can pick from, and in this case I like the idea of Sydney Harbour Bridge, as it's an Australian company. So what we do, we click on the image there, and we see if we right click onto the image, we have some options, and one is to copy the image address. So we simply copy that image address, and then we go back to our Ecomap, and in this URL section we paste that address. We click enter, and then the image has been changed. As you see now, we're also still able to adjust the image, drag it out a little bit more, and also shrink it, and we're also able to move the image if we like. So that is all for the shapes tutorial. Until next time, stay tuned.